Hey everybody, it's KinesisKrab, and today I'm going to be talking about something I only noticed recently. I don't know exactly when it happened, but some of you may recall that my YouTube edit, Yugi is going to be late for school, had a sequel up called Yugi Fights for His Right to be Late for School. And some of you may be wondering what happened to that. Well, what happened is, as you may be seeing on screen right now, is that I actually got a claim against it. And so this actually prompted me to bring some attention to a thing that a lot of YouTubers have talked about recently, and that's going to be the YouTube claim content ID and that whole system. The Where's the Fair Use movement has been something that's done a lot with this, but I wanted to throw my 2 cents in there as well. Essentially, the main problem we're going to deal with is how YouTube handles potential copyright infringement. Now, my video is blocked in most parts of the world, and it's due to a visual content match. So what that basically means, for those of you who have never gotten anything and never experienced any of these copyright issues before, it means that they decided that between certain points in the video, the images I was using were from copyrighted material and that I was not able to use them, and that it was over 30 seconds of it unedited. Now, what's interesting about this is, and I'm not going to show this obviously because I don't want this video to get ID match too, because that's how it works, is that that's actually the most edited part of the video because there's a lot of split clips to different scenes at that point. So for one thing, it is edited from the original version, and we're going to talk a lot more about how this video as a whole would fall under fair use and a few other things that the YouTube copyright system allows you to claim back. What I can do is I can refute this claim, as you may know about. And here's the thing about refuting this claim is when you go into the details of refuting it, there's a few different bubbles you can click on. There's one that basically says, I own the DVD for this, and therefore I can upload it. There's one that says this falls under fair use. And then there's a few other bubbles. Now the problem is you can only select one. Well, in my case, one, it does fall under fair use. One, I'm not monetizing it, which is another thing that is a bubble. And for another thing, I do actually own the episode on DVD. Not by itself, it's in, I think it's like the full season, or maybe it's just the Dungeon Dice Monsters, like 3-episode thing, I don't remember. But I do own it. So in this case, according to the rules that I can refute, any of those bubbles would be applicable. A lot of people have given a lot of attention to the fair use issue, but in this instance, there's other issues as well in that I should be protected and I'm not. And I may be wondering why I haven't refuted it and why it hasn't gone back up. Well, the problem with refuting is that the person who claims that you stole their content has all the power here. And what that means is they can do three things. One of those things would be just letting it go and letting the video go back up as it was. Another thing it can do is it can keep the claim on the countries that it has, or it can take the video down entirely and give you a strike. Now, that's as YouTube explains it. One thing it doesn't explain is, at least recently, there is another type of claim. And I'm going to link to a video that talks more about this type of claim in the description, because the YouTube user, Mysterious Mr. Enter, has actually asked people to bring more attention to this. On his video specifically, a company has abused the system multiple times, which we might get into more later, to take down a review of his. And one of the things is recently, or at least somewhat recently, I don't really remember exactly how he said it, the video had stayed up, but it had been claimed so that all monetization was given to the company that had made the claim. And I've never actually heard or seen of another case of something like that happening. So basically, there's actually a fourth thing that a company can do that YouTube doesn't tell you about, and that's pretty much just take any monetization you do have on for those videos and then keep it up so they're making all the money off of your work. Now, for those of you who don't know about the strike system on YouTube, it's pretty fucking terrible. I'm not going to go into it in a lot of detail, because of the fact that it's in any YouTube's account, any YouTube account's guidelines. It can be easily looked into in your standing, what basically happens when you get a strike, and it basically limits you in a lot of different ways. So we're going to talk about fair use now, because there's really not much I can say about those other options that I could refute for, because those are pretty cut and dry, and those are pretty, I should have the right to do these things. There are two common fair use arguments that can be used in the case of most YouTube videos through US law. And as the video I have linked in the description says, YouTube is a US company, and I personally am also a United States citizen, so it would only ever be in a US court. So it would only be the US fair use law. So two things that would commonly be used for things on YouTube are the fact that a video is parodious or that a video is transformative. Now, in the case of a YouTube edit like this, which actually has a storyline sort of to it, where basically it's, Yugi fighting for his right to be late for school, it's transformative of the main thematic messages of the original 3-episode trilogy, and it's also parodious of them, so it would fall under both of these common arguments that one can use in fair use that will be likely to win. One problem is that, you can't use fair use offensively, you can only use it defensively. So, you can't ever just go after a claim and sue someone else and use fair use as your thing. You have to wait for them to sue you if it were to ever get to that point. So, by all means, I should be able to speak up, because I have every right to. But YouTube essentially fearmongers me into not pursuing it. Because with that strike, and with the fact it lets the companies do whatever they want, as many times as they want, with whatever puppet accounts they want, and they let anyone claim anything, I really can't do anything. And if I were an individual, I wouldn't be afraid of getting that strike, because I'd know I'm in the right, but it would be irresponsible for me, as someone who's on a channel with more than one person, to just decide to go about that myself, because that strike affects everyone here, and not just myself. So, what should we do about this, essentially? One of the main problems with the system as it currently stands is that anyone who makes a claim is essentially God in the situation, and gets the end say on almost every aspect of things. They get to say what they're going to do afterwards without YouTube really looking much into it. They get to say what videos can and can't be up, and it doesn't even really matter what you use in it, because they just get to say all of those points, and you really don't get much to defend yourself. I haven't gone past the filling out the bubble part of the refuting process, but I do know that if it is the same way that it used to be, at least like a year or so back, it gives you about like a text box of 150 characters to state your case, which is not nearly enough, especially considering that these claims are something where the claimers can put in as much as they want. And if you don't have a YouTube partner, you're not going to unfortunately get any more of an ability to do anything else. That's all you can do, and then the claimers have full control over you. As I mentioned earlier, and I can't stress this enough, the specific video that I want to bring up is the one by Mysterious Mr. Enter, because he is a case that is very much so in the right and brings up a lot of good points of personal examples of companies abusing these claims to do whatever they want. Some other people who have made videos about it I know are Penguin Zero, better known as Critical, made a video about it because one of his videos got taken down. But it wasn't so much for the same reasons. However, he did address the issues. If I have any other videos I'd like to link to in the description, I'll make sure to do so. So what YouTube should instead work on is, instead of this bullshit guilty until proven innocent, it should be the way that a US court system would actually view a case, considering it is working on US law, and there would be an innocent until proven guilty basis. The creator should be notified about any claim made on the video, but then the creator should really have control over there about what they're going to do. They should essentially be able to choose to refute it without a penalty. Like, I'm sure there's people who would falsely make refutes, but that's less common than people who are actually trying to, get creative content up. But even so then, if the claim is proven to be in the right and I forgot the word, the creator is in the wrong, then they should also have the option then to either release the video to the claimer, or to make it not on YouTube anymore, or to make a second refute and to carry their case further, maybe into the court system if necessary. What I'm essentially saying is that YouTube needs to be a bigger part of the system and allow creators these options, rather than just allowing claimers to do whatever they want. This whole system of relying on these automated robots and these scripts to go through all of the videos on YouTube is just unintelligent, and it shows a clear lack of understanding and responsibility on YouTube's part. Because you can't just say, this kind of looks like this, ergo, no context, this is getting claimed, and we have every right to do that through your systems. No, absolutely not. Are there many claims made a day? Yeah. And I'm sure if YouTube were to make staff to filter through all of them, it would be a ridiculous workload. But guess what? That's kind of just how it is. YouTube is the only video sharing site on the entire web that is really capable of anything, and it's almost a too big to fail situation because no other site could really carry the bandwidth that YouTube, needs to run as it does. One example of this would be a couple YouTube game reviewers. I forget who, but it was like JonTron Peanut Butter Gamer. Their group, Normal Boots, had its own website for a while, and the reason that's never really gotten off the ground is because when people go to watch the websites there, for one thing, that kind of bandwidth is costly, and I mean, not everyone's going to move from YouTube to your personal site. It's just not going to happen, no matter how much you want it to. And the funny thing is, like, YouTube's been losing money, and so it's just not a profitable service, but it's really the only option that anyone has. But that's really irrelevant to this whole issue here. The issue here is that YouTube needs to take the time to be responsible and investigate these claims as the somewhat responsible party it is, because they are the ones hosting, all of these videos. They need to try and protect the creators above all else, because it's the creators that are the lifeblood of the system. If you just go with these people who are going to claim and take down anything they want, whether or not they're right, then that's just ridiculous, and it's a flawed system. It's not fair to anyone. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to Mysterious Mr. Enter. It's not fair to any other user who makes content that could get falsely claimed, and then they would never hear anything back. The fact that almost every YouTuber with over 1 million subscribers or over like 100,000 subscribers has to make a video about why the copyright system is broken should be proof enough that it is a system that needs to be looked into and fixed. It shouldn't just be kept the way it is and keep getting worse like this and more automated. There needs to be people at YouTube making sure that these claims aren't false. It's ridiculous and inconvenient for anyone, especially the people who use this as a source of income. Because when your videos are taken down or that monetization is given to someone else, that can totally ruin you. And it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous that it's worked that way for so long, and we need to make it change. Now, the unfortunate thing is that we as individuals can't really do much about that, because a threat is the only thing that's going to make YouTube change. And the unfortunate reality is there's no realistic threat right now. So I guess that's really all I had to say about this. Essentially, the YouTube systems on copyright infringement claims are bullshit, and it's just a piece of shit. And it's unfortunate that it's like that, and we really need to work on finding a good way to change that. So with that, I've been KinesisKrab, and I will see you next time. And maybe someday I'll get a re-upload of Yugi Fights for His Right to be late for school.